It was just like, hey, I've got a problem here. And I was answered. So you will find many metaphysical and paranormal things, people know those expressions, within the pages of the scripture. And they can be scientifically shown to have effect. And what they call that thing that was out years ago, The Secret, all about manifesting things. Like they're not going to tell you that that's scriptural, but it is. Because they don't want to be aligned with those nasty Christians now, do they?
Well, just the very idea of prayer, which I know to have been medically shown to actually accelerate healing of those who are kept in mind in the prayer. You know, prayer obviously is a non-physical, outside the realm of known physics, but it works. So that is, by definition, metaphysical. I mean, by definition.
A friend of mine was hit by an illegal alien who fled back across the border, leaving him in the street with his skull broken in 13 places. He went into a coma. And yes, I don't care about the temple underwear. I don't care about the polygamy. I don't care. I'm just saying a group of Mormons came into his hospital room voluntarily and held hands and prayed for him. And there are witnesses that saw the indicators for his vital signs go up in the direction they wanted him to go up, and nobody touched him. All they did was pray for him. So, look, I don't remember where I was before I got here, except in little glimpses in dreams. Now, we can either decide, well, we're just here, it's no big deal, or we can recognize that there are way too many extras, from the strawberry to the bluebird, that would not be necessary if we were just completely ununique little blobs of some sort of living material. There's too much going on here to deny an intelligent design. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it until shown otherwise. And
well, John,
no one has shown me yet.
I agree with you, but I've covered the physics community. Conventional physics believes that we are biological robots without any free will, no consciousness. When you die, it's lights out. They say that there's no, in fact, they don't even think they're alive, which is weird because then they write books about it and they put their name on it. It's like, who wrote the book if you're not even a being with a soul?
I would have to say, if their view is that narrow, perhaps they're right. Perhaps they aren't alive.
Maybe they're the zombies. It's physics by zombies. Zombie physics.
Feelings are hard to describe in words. Thoughts must be described in words if they're to be communicated to another person. So if you limit your thoughts, or if you limit your vocabulary, you limit your thoughts, and if you limit your thoughts, you also limit your vocabulary because you have none to express. There are all sorts of wild theories, but the short answer to that one is, well, once upon a time, everybody thought that the Earth was the center of this galaxy and that it was completely flat.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thought on this, is that sometimes the status quo will call you or I a pessimist because we're a realist, because we ask questions and we look at things and we see where are they going. We can project a little bit into the future and sort of see maybe what's going to happen. But isn't it the ultimate pessimism to believe that we're not even living beings with a soul? We don't have a free will, we don't have a mind, we don't have a consciousness, we don't have connection with the Creator. Isn't that the ultimate pessimism?
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate pessimism. Yeah, somebody made a joke the other day that said an optimist is someone who is frequently disappointed, but a pessimist is one who is occasionally pleasantly surprised. And we laugh about this, and we say, yeah. But in the laughing and in the making a joke out of it,
going to break, John.
Embrace it a little. We're going to break, okay.
All right, sorry to interrupt you. Going to break. We'll be right back with more calls for John B. Wells. Stay with us here on The Alex Jones Show. Back for our final segment here on The Alex Jones Show with John B. Wells, our special guest. And we've been taking some calls and talking about, well, some philosophy, believe it or not, in the last segment, a little bit of preparedness info and much more. Let's take one more call today. And let's go to Fred in Michigan. Fred, you're on the air here on The Alex Jones Show. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, it's an honor and a pleasure to be with you two today. My two favorite hosts of all time.
Mutual, sir.
Hey, John, I have many things to get out as quickly as I can. You mentioned a distant relative, I believe H.G. I think he might have authored a book entitled Open Conspiracy. When I'm finished with my presentation, maybe you can comment on that. I want to recite what John Adams, the second president, said, directed to us. You have rights, natural, unalienable rights, antecedent to all earthly governments. Rights, natural, unalienable, that cannot be repealed nor restrained by human law. rights derived from the great I am. Now, as I see it, my friends, what has surreptitiously happened over the decades is the government has been infiltrated and subverted, subjugated by a rather infamous, insidious foreign private corporation known as the Bar. Because if you take note, every president, virtually every senator, and if the House of Reps isn't predominantly BAR Esquire attorneys whose allegiance is to the Bank of England and the monarchy ultimately, then you have a Legislative Service Bureau that is exclusively BAR Esquire attorneys, and it is that entity that creates the statutory public policy acts.
Well, good points, Fred. Let me send this to John here to comment on what you think are the power groups that are in play today. Is the Bar one of them in your experience?
Absolutely, the Bar. Absolutely, it is. But I'm not sure what the overall question is here.
Well, I just wanted to give you a chance to comment on it, but Fred, that's a really good point that you've brought up, and I appreciate your call. But we've been subjugated, I think, is his point, and it's
yes, we have, and one time I got into it with a guy on the air on it was Alan Combs' show, and I decided to just call in as a caller. And it was the guy who wanted to take under God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and I just said, look, your hypocrisy and equality statements about the hypocrisy. You're using the law. All law comes from religion. I don't care if you're a tree worshiper on the high plains or in ancient Germany or a sun worshiper on the high plains. Your law comes from religion, and you're using this mechanism to take out the religion. You're using the religious-based mechanism to take the religion out of the mechanism. And the second thing is the equality. If you make everybody just like everybody else, that's exactly the same thing as making everybody nobody, to where there is no more individuality. And the Bar has everything to do with that because, well, I think we already talked about law enforcement, didn't we?
Yes.
So I suppose whatever the law of the land happens to be, you'll be bound to it, or you have to change it. First, you'll resist it and people will be hurt for it. And then eventually it'll be changed. And the moment that you relax your vigilance, it'll go right back to the way that it was where your protest began.
Well, hence the need for the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and what should be called the unalienable rights that are granted to us by our Creator and from which the Bill of Rights was written as an expression that tried to codify those laws.
And thank you very much for pronouncing that word correctly. Everybody says unalienable. It's not, well, we're going to be alienated from our rights. Like, no, it's unalienable. They can't be transferred. They cannot be possessed or taken away.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mike. You're the only one other than myself and one other person that's ever said that word that way.
Really? That strikes me as kind of scary.
Off to you. No, they don't do it. They think it's unalienable, and it's not.
No, it's unalienable. Which, again, we back to the language games and the mind tricks. We have to get the language squared away. Like, for example, every time a U.S. military helicopter is shot down in the Middle East by enemy soldiers, they never say it gets shot down. They say it crashed, as if it were a training exercise or something. Well, yeah, it crashed after it got blown up. I mean, when you blow up a helicopter, it tends to crash. This is basic physics.
Every time, and they're not pretty either. They don't land gracefully and gently without power. They just kind of flop like a mattress off the 10th floor. It's kind of rough, really.
I guess so. Now, John, since this is our last segment, and I want to get to a little bit of your preparedness. I don't know if you're willing to share this publicly, but I want to ask you, what are you doing to get prepared for whatever you see might be coming? I mean, do you have extra food? Do you have extra ammo, if you're willing to say that on the air and risk being called an extremist? I mean, what are you doing today, man?
Well, here's the thing. If it gets down to guns and knives against the authorities, it's going to be rough. You shoot a bullet at them, they're going to shoot a missile at you. We don't want that. Number one, we don't want that. And we do not want to do anything to engender any further mistrust of the people by the police. Sometimes it's justifiable. And we want to minimize this distrust between citizens and police. Remember, the police are not obligated to give over their life to save yours. That's not in their contract. It's not in their pay grade. And the other part is that the police are not the military. So don't allow it to be militarized. That's number one. Mike Adams is absolutely, completely correct. Nutrition is number one. Without proper nutrition, not only do you get out of shape, you can't even think straight, which is why breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If you have something to do, if you don't have anything to do but sit around and watch TV till noon, then it's probably not. Eat whenever you want. Carbs in the morning, meat at night. No carbs after 2, you will be fit. Water, absolutely. Get rid of the fluoride, get rid of the chlorine. Number 3, environmental integrity confirmation, meaning Scott Portzline was on the show weekend before, Saturday before last night, and he said it was his opinion, always has been, that 3 Mile Island was caused by sabotage. So it's not going to hurt you to have a little Geiger counter, and it's not going to hurt you to have a little shortwave radio. And as far as firearms and ammunition are concerned, let me just leave it with this. Nobody needs to know where your stuff is except for you. Rule number 1, though, overall is, except for the nutrition, you got to have that. Your papers must be in order. What's the last thing the bad guy says to the good guy before the good guy escapes to Switzerland? He says, your papers appear to be in order. You may go. Keep your papers in order. Take care of business. Think. Network with your friends. And remember, this big power outage, Alex was talking about backup power. Very, very important, because all those, the better part of 1 billion people wound up without electricity. But the authorities said, but it's not a big deal because many of these people live without electricity anyway. So the numbers they were counting were just populations in those areas. It's like most of those people didn't have electricity to start with. That's a different deal if our grid goes down.
Absolutely.
Everything runs on that.
Well, very good information and advice, John, and I want to thank you so much for spending your time with us today after hosting Coast to Coast last night, and here you are with us today. It's been a great segment with you, and I really appreciate you coming on.
A real pleasure, my fellow radical. You know, that which used to be normal is now considered radical. Feels kind of good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, and you know how we both like to pay with cash, right? I pay with cash everywhere. If you think about it, paying with cash also supports local businesses because they don't have to lose the 3% that they pay to Visa or MasterCard to process your credit card. So cash actually supports local businesses.
I'd like to leave you with this, and I'll do it very quickly because I know we're on a clock. But with Caravan to Midnight on the Russian radiation detectors, I got a bunch of them. I was lucky and got a bunch of them. So I knocked $50 off of each one of the Russian units. We have some by Vince Mazer that are more sophisticated. They all do the same thing, but Vince's stuff you can track with this, and you can track the radiation readings over a period of time that you can program into the device. So go to caravantomidnight.com and check it out. But the other thing is this. We're going to stop taking credit cards pretty soon. We did that because we wanted it to be convenient to our customers. However, when we started looking at not only how the big banks treat us, but treat everybody else,
right?
I've just decided that I don't want these devices not to get in the hands of people who want them, but I'm done with the big banks. I'm done with it until when the whole legislature says, yeah, let's audit the Fed. And then I think it was Reid said, it'll never get through the Senate.
Right.
Could somebody explain to me why the membership of the Federal Reserve Bank is secret? I mean, what is this? Why do we stand for this?
Too many secrets, man. Everybody go watch that movie with Robert Redford called Sneakers, and you'll learn about too many secrets once again. John,
don't forget about 3 Days to the Condor either, okay?
Very good, very good. Good viewing advice from both of us here. John, thank you for joining us. Folks, check out his website, caravantomidnight.com. Also, just want to mention, again, if you want to have real nutrition, stay alive, stay healthy, transform your health, your body, and your mind, check out Enterfood at the InfoWarsStore.com website. This is very, very good stuff. Thank you for being with us today. It's been my pleasure to be with you. I am Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, and I hope to join you again soon, right here in this chair, filling in. Take care.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know